Hello everyone. Today is Saturday, August 10th. It is almost 2 p.m. and I have decided to participate in the NEWTs Magical Read-a-thon all-nighter. It technically started at like 7 a.m. my time, but that was not going to work for me, so I decided to do my own version. I'm going to have my own 24 hours, probably from about 2 p.m. today until 2 p.m. on Sunday, just because I have a lot of books to read, and I figured this would be a good way to motivate myself to really prioritize reading over the next 24 hours or so. I have been doing well so far in the read-a-thon, but I will be going on vacation at the end of the month. I mean, vacation to visit my family in Vermont, so it's not like a super crazy vacation or anything, but I'm obviously going to be spending more time with them than I am reading, so I want to try and get ahead. Right now, I'm about 40 pages behind where I should be if I'm splitting each of the books that I'm reading over the month, like per day, how many pages I should be reading. I'm like 40 pages behind as of yesterday. So I want to catch up on that and then get a bit ahead so I have a bit more room. I spent the morning running some errands, and then I did my usual couple hour volunteering at the Humane Society. So now I'm officially ready to read. I just ate some lunch. So let me tell you what my plans are. Let me sit, this will be a little easier for me. So my first goal is to finish I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I am slightly more than halfway through it at the moment. You can't see that, it's too bright. It's all right. I'm not a huge fan of the writing style, which I didn't realize it was like so unique. I guess when I first started trying to read it a couple years ago and set it down, that was probably one of the reasons why I did that, but I'd forgotten since then why I'd put it down. And so I'm obviously pushing through this time. I like a lot of the themes so far, but the writing style isn't really for me. If I finish that, which I hope to, that's my goal, is to finish that, I want to start the Rose Society. I'll Give You the Sun is for the Acceptable and Transfiguration. This is for the Exceeds Expectations and Transfiguration. I'm trying to make sure that I've done like the precursor books so that all the last books I have to read are the outstanding books, or I have two Potions and Defense Against the Dark Arts. I only need to read the acceptable book, so those are a lot easier. But for the two that I have to get outstanding on, I'm prioritizing those just to make sure I can push through. The other thing, I'm also listening to the audiobook of The Silent Patient, but that is on the phone that I'm currently filming on, so I can't show it to you. The first thing I want to do, though, is I actually need snacks, because it's a 24-hour read-a-thon, so obviously I'm going to need some sustenance. What I'm going to do, and the reason I'm wearing like athletic gear right now, is because I want to walk to Bulk Barn, grab a bunch of different snacks, and then I'll probably stop at the LCBO on the way, because it is on the way back, and pick up a couple drinks, for today and maybe tomorrow too, if I feel like drinking at like 1 in the afternoon. That's fine, it's the weekend. So that's my plan. And then when I'm walking, I'm gonna listen to The Silent Patient. So I'm still participating in the 24-hour read-a-thon, just not in the traditional way with a physical book, but I'll still be getting pages read. So I will take you with me on my journey to get some snacks and booze. That took me a bit longer than I thought it was going to. I was basically listening to The Silent Patient the whole time, which is great, so I made a nice dent in that. I'm about halfway through now, and I like it. I'm intrigued. Our main character is not like a super likable person, in the sense that I feel like he doesn't make a lot of great decisions, but of course his not so great decisions make the story more interesting, so obviously I'm going to keep listening to that in the future, not at the moment, because now I'm going to read I'll Give You the Sun and make a nice dent in that. Time for a drink and a snack and some physical reading.
I also spent a little bit longer in the LCBO than I thought I was going to because there's actually a lot of really good choices. So since I brought you with me, I figured I'd at least share what I got. So I got peanut M&Ms, which are the best M&Ms. I got some sour gummy worms, kind of get like different flavors going on here. I got dark chocolate covered raisins. Dark chocolate is the best. And then I got these sour cream and onion rings. These aren't for me. I don't find these appetizing. These are for my boyfriend. And then the drinks wise, I got some rosé lemonade, some sours, a hard lemonade soda thing, a passion fruit guava beer, and then this Moscow Mule thing. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna start with. I'm feeling some gummy sour worms, so I'll probably eat those while I start. I'll give you the sun. As far as the drinks go, I'm not sure.
I've made some progress on my book. I have less than 100 pages now. And it just got to a really happy part, which is nice. You know, sometimes it's just really nice to like read a really happy part in a book and just pause there for a moment. I'm giving my eyes a bit of a break. They're doing that thing where if I look away from the page, they just cannot focus on anything that is any distance away. So I'm just gonna give them a little bit of a break, kind of soak in this happy moment before I kind of push towards the end. I don't know if I'll necessarily read 100 pages in one go, but at least it won't be that much longer before I finish this. The writing style is still not my favorite. I feel like every time I pick up this book again after setting it down for a little bit, I have to kind of get back in the groove of it because there's so much going on. There's a lot of times where something's being described from the character's point of view, but it's not actually happening. It's just them imagining something's happening, but you don't really know that until you keep reading. And it's like, oh, that sounded kind of absurd. And that's why, because it's just them imagining it in their head. It's them reacting to a situation. So sometimes it's a little like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's not actually happening. Snap back to reality. But, you know, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just know that a lot of people really love this book, and where I've stopped now, I can kind of see why, just because there has been some interesting moments sort of tying things together finally, because we're getting the story in bits and pieces from the twins' perspectives, like alternating back and forth. So you hear one thing and then I've definitely made some assumptions about stuff, and that's turning out to not be true, which is good because it does make the story more interesting. I'll be happy to have this done though, and to be able to move on to something else. In the meantime, while I take a break, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but I will update you guys again once I've read a bit more. So I'm sitting here reading, and I just had this moment of realization that all of the books that I've either completed or am currently reading for the NEWTs read-a-thon so far focus on art in some way. I'll Give You the Sun is like the whole family, well, besides the dad, but like the family and other people in the story, they bond over art, like all different kinds of art, sculptures, paintings, etc. One of the kids really wants to get into an art school, like a specific art high school. So yeah, the art is a huge part of this book. First book I read was Daisy Jones and the Six. That's about art in the sense that it's about music and a band and, you know, recording albums together. The second book I read was Through the Woods by Emily Carroll, which is a graphic novel, and it's definitely more pictures than words, so that was totally art. And then The Silent Patient, the main character, well, one of the main characters, the woman, Alicia, she is an artist, and she's the one that kind of loses her mind, kills her husband, and is now not speaking, and so our other main character is trying to figure out why. But she was an artist, like a painter. So I don't know why this is a theme for the first few books that I've read so far. It's not really going to continue though, because my other books don't really have anything to do with art, but I just realized that and wanted to share. It's just after 9 p.m. and I have finished I'll Give You the Sun. I did take a break to eat dinner and watch an episode of Veronica Mars, but the rest of that time was spent reading this book. My initial thoughts on finishing it is that on the one hand, I really liked it. Like, I enjoyed the themes of it. There was a lot going on. The characters were complicated, multifaceted. There was a lot of beautiful lines about stuff. On the other hand, some of the writing was a bit too much for me, and oh my god, these characters frustrated me so much. It was another one of those instances where if they had just communicated with each other, if they had just actually talked to each other instead of assuming things and then lying or making really bad decisions, things would have been better. But then at the same time, you wouldn't have had the same book, right? If things had actually worked out a little bit better than they did. I mean, things got resolved at the end almost too nicely in a way, considering how much turmoil was in this book. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a 4-star, maybe more like a 3.5. It's definitely better than a 3, but definitely not higher than a 4. So I'll have to sit on it a little bit before I actually rate it on Goodreads. But right now, it was decent. Like, I can see why some people really love this book, though, because there was a lot of really touching moments and really important things that were touched on. Now that I've finished this, I'm going to start the Rose Society. It's in the other room, otherwise I would hold it up here and talk about it. But that's the second book in the Young Elites series by Marie Lu, and I read the Young Elites earlier this year during the Femme Fatale read-a-thon, so I remember most of the story. There might be a couple points that aren't super clear to me, but that one has ginormous font, so hopefully it'll be a pretty fast read. So I'll start that tonight, and I don't think I'll necessarily finish it by tomorrow, but hopefully I'll be able to make a pretty good dent. I'll probably check in with you one more time before I go to bed. Even though this is a 24-hour read-a-thon, I really like my sleep. I'm definitely an 8.5 hour sleep kind of girl, so I will not be pulling a crazy all-nighter, but I am somebody that's really good about getting up early, so I'll definitely be up early tomorrow reading and making more of a dent in my books. Hello again. We're getting a lot closer to 11 p.m. I have taken a shower and I started the Rose Society. I'm not too far into it, but I'm already being reminded of why I enjoyed the first one so much, because this was definitely a book that I went into, or at least the first one was a book that I went into with pretty low expectations, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. And now that I'm starting the Rose Society, I'm being reminded of all those little bits that I did enjoy, so I'm actually more excited to read this than I was even, just like 2 hours ago, which is great, because I'm going to hopefully power through a lot of this tomorrow. I'm hoping to read at least half of it, if not more, as well as listen to more of The Silent Patient. I think I'll probably get up between 7:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. sometime in there, and that'll give me like 6 hours to read before my time's up. I technically started at 2:09 p.m. earlier today, so I've got a good chunk of time left tomorrow and a good chunk of book left to read. Other than that, I feel like today's been pretty great. Like, I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, which is why I'm now gonna watch a couple booktube videos before I go to sleep. But that's a good feeling to have, is that feeling of like, okay, cool, I'm on track, feeling good. I mean, a 24-hour read-a-thon is obviously a little bit easier to push through than if you're doing a whole week, which is why I was interested in doing this. But I'm happy it's going well, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. It's currently a bit before 9 a.m. and I'm in the basement doing laundry, hence the wonderful lighting. Also because I can talk to the camera and not bother my sleeping boyfriend. I got up a bit before 8 a.m. and I've been listening to The Silent Patient while I was gathering my laundry, and I'm just now down here to move it over to the dryer. And I ate some breakfast and I read a little bit more of the Rose Society. once I move my laundry over to the dryer, I plan on sitting down on the couch and just reading a bunch of the Rose Society, seeing how much I can sort of get through before I want to take a break. Might try and read outside today. It's like 16 outside right now, which is like a little chilly for sitting outside, but it's supposed to be about 22 later, which will be really good because it won't be super hot. And I really enjoy sitting out in the sun and reading a good book. So yeah, those are my plans for the moment. Not much else to say. I'll check in with you guys later. Almost 11:30, and as you can see, I've decided to migrate outside because it's now warm enough for me to be out here. There's a good breeze, which is nice, but I definitely lathered on the sunscreen and put on the hat just to keep myself from getting too hot. I have read a little over 100 pages of the Rose Society. It's going well. I am definitely liking the direction that it's going. It's still as good as the first book, which is good. I have also listened to a bit more of The Silent Patient because I've finished putting my laundry away and everything. So I've made good progress in that as well. I'd say at this point I probably listened to like 2.5 hours of the audiobook since this 24-hour readathon started yesterday, which is good. And I'm just going to keep plugging away at this, and it's a little early to dip into the beverages, but it's not too early for more sour gummy worms. It's been about an hour since I last checked in with you. I've been reading the Rose Society. It's going well, and I just don't know what it is about this book. I mean, I guess I kind of do. I think it's the superpowers element, like the fact that all of these young elites have all these different powers is just exciting to me. Like, I like finding out what everybody's power is. I like seeing them using them, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm enjoying this more than I feel like I enjoy a lot of other YA fantasy books. So if you're somebody that likes magical powers, superpowers in books, I recommend this series because I feel like they really utilize them a lot. Some stories, I feel like they introduce the idea of superpowers, but they don't really use them that much. Like, they save them for the big finale or something like that. But in this book, they use them all the time. So that's cool. The other reason I figured I should check in with you is because it's now about 12:30 and I've decided it's beverage time. So I am having the rosé lemonade. Refreshing home-style lemonade. It's rosé wine blended with lemonade. Never had this before, so I wanted to do a little taste test. Okay. I like it, but I'm also a little confused by it. Like, I enjoy lemonade, and I like rosé wine. It wouldn't be my first choice for wine. I'd rather have a red than a rosé, but this is interesting. I'll drink it. I wouldn't pick it again necessarily if I had other choices, but not bad. At least I can enjoy it while I'm reading. You can see the indent of where my hat was on my head. Cool, that's a cute look. All right, I just came inside. It is 1:50, and I think I'm gonna call this because it's basically been 24 hours since I kicked this baby off. I got really hot in the sun, which is why I came inside to film this, but I just wanted to do a little wrap up. So I ended up reading to page 216 in the Rose Society, which is great because that's a little bit more than halfway through the book, and that was the goal that I had set myself at the beginning of all of this. Like I said, it's a fast read because the font's so big, and I really enjoy the plot of this. It's very dark. Our main character, it definitely has a touch of the villain in her, and they use the magical powers all the time. So I'm definitely looking forward to finishing that, but I'm obviously going to take a little bit of a break today before I dive back into it. And then I also read about 175 pages in I'll Give You the Sun. I'm not entirely sure, like I didn't actually do the math, but I know it was slightly less than half, and that's about slightly less than half. So 175 pages plus 216, and then approximately 2.5 hours in my audiobook. I have no idea what that equates to in terms of pages, but for 24 hours, that is definitely more than I would usually read. So I'm really happy that I did this, and it'll definitely lower the average page count that I need to read per day in order to finish all of my books before the end of the read-a-thon. For anybody else watching this that is participating in the read-a-thon, I hope it's going well for you. I'd certainly say it's going well for me so far. I'm on track. I'd say I'm ahead at this point of where I thought I would be, and that's good. As always, our links are in the down bar. If you want to check out any of those, feel free to do so. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.